Dear students, my name is Nosheen and I'm back with you to discuss some more topics on imperfect competitive market structure. And here we are going to discuss how to derive the market demand and market supply curve of labor in monopoly market structure. So in imperfect competition, we are restricting our focus on monopoly, and we are also going to see at the end of the session how equilibrium is achieved in a labor market where the firm is a monopolist. So let's start with our session. So, as you know, in general, what is market demand? So, market demand is generally a summation of the individual demand curves. In this case, it would be of individual monopolistic firms. So, when we aggregate all the individual demand curves of all monopoly firms, one has to also take into account the impact of change in price of factor. This is extremely important. So supposingly the price of labor falls from W1 to W2. So wage rate is the price of labor, and supposingly it's falling from W1 to W2. Basically it would imply that labor is becoming cheaper. Now as labor is becoming cheaper, what one has to understand is that not only this particular firm would increase its demand for labor, but all the other firms would also increase the demand for labor. So the aggregate demand for labor would rise, and if more labor is being employed in the production process, it implies that more output would be produced. So we can see this with the help of this diagram where S1 is the original supply curve, and as the wage rate is falling, more output is being produced. So S1 is rising, it's increasing to shifting towards the right to S2. So if a movement from S1 to S2 is showing the increase in production because more labor has been hired as the wage rate has fallen. Now whenever this supply curve shifts, it will also have an impact on the price of the product if the demand curve is constant, if demand does not change. So price will change from P1 to P2. Now very important aspect in imperfectly competitive market structures when we are analyzing the demand for labor is to see not the impact of a price fall on VMPL rather than to see its impact on revenue. So we have discussed it in our earlier sessions that the demand for labor is derived from MRPL curve. MRPL curve is nothing but marginal revenue product curve of labor, and basically it is obtained by multiplying marginal product of labor with the marginal revenue obtained from X. So in short, it just summarizes that how much is the change in total revenue due to hiring of one extra unit of labor. Now when coming back to this diagram, when supply curve is increasing from S1 to S2, is shifting from S1 to S2, and price is falling consequently from P1 to P2, there would be also a fall in MR. So MR, original MR, whatever was the marginal revenue, was calculated on the base of P1. The new MR would be calculated on the basis of P2. So MR would shift inside, it will shift towards the left. This means that there would be a fall in the marginal revenue of obtained by additional unit of labor hired. So this will also shift the MRPL curve. So if the original MRPL curve was this, it will shift towards the left. Why it is shifting? Because there is a reduction in the marginal revenue. So this shift is from MRPL1 to MRPL2. So taking this information into account and going back to our earlier discussions where we had derived the market demand of labor in perfect competition, the diagram is similar. There is no change, absolutely no change in the diagram. But what the diagram is taking into consideration is that the actual shift in the demand for labor of an individual firm is from D1 to D2, is basically from point A to B. So point A is basically saying that at wage rate 1, L1 labor units are hired. As the wage rate falls from W1 to W2, Actually, there will not be a movement on the same demand curve, rather than there would be an inward shift from A to B. So we will shift to a new demand curve. Now this is reflecting the individual demand curve of a firm. In this case, you can consider it for a monopolist. So basically, as the MRPL is falling, as the addition and total revenue by an extra unit of labor is falling because the price of product has fallen, so this is also shifting inwards. Joining A and B, we will be getting the market demand for labor. So this capital AB is reflecting the small a and B, and when you join these, you will get the market demand for labor. So the picture on the right hand side shows the market demand for labor. So basically, graphically, you can say the derivation of the market demand curve of labor is exactly the same as you derive it for perfect competition, except that individual demand curves are based on the marginal revenue product of the factor and not on the value of the marginal product of factor. That is the only difference. Yeah, I hope this was clear, and now we can discuss about equilibrium. So for equilibrium, we need to comment on supply curve of labor. So because in this particular scenario, the input market is perfectly competitive, the supply curve of labor would remain to be positively sloped. So when we bring together the demand curve of labor as given by MRPL curve and supply curve of labor as given by SL curve, and we note the point of intersection, we will be able to derive the equilibrium in such markets. So the market price of the factor is determined by the intersection of the market demand and market supply, and accordingly at the point of intersection, you can see W star market wage rate has been determined. So this is the factor price of L star units of labor. So L star units of labor would be hired, and the wage rate or the factor price that would be determined would be given by W star. So basically, this is calculated keeping in mind what is the demand and supply conditions. So we will be back to understand one more phenomena, which is known as monopolistic exploitation, which had been highlighted by Joan Robinson in the next lecture. Till then, all of you take care and have a great time ahead.